What are the top 5 Nintendo Switch eShop games? Now, I'm a proponent of physical media. However, I know a good deal when I see one, and oftentimes there are a lot of great deals to be had on the Nintendo Switch eShop, and there's tons of great games here. But which ones are the best? Well, let's find out on today's edition of Switch Sunday. Welcome to Switch Sunday, where some nerdy Nintendo fanboy talks about the Nintendo Switch. And if that tickles your fancy, why not subscribe? Now today we're talking about eShop games, which of course are download-only games. Games that are necessarily exclusive to the Switch eShop, but games that are on the Switch, but that you can only get on the eShop. This list is as of October 2017. In the future, this list will probably change. And while these games are my personal favorites in some respects, I have tried to make this a diverse list. Now for the first game on the list, let me just give you a small little aside. I hate golf. I think golf is the most boring sport known to man. So imagine my surprise when a lot of my friends, including my buddy over at the Golden Bolt, recommended that I pick up Golf Story. Now, as someone who hates golf and who really doesn't play sports video games at all unless it's NBA Jam, this game interested me because it's a golf RPG. Yes, you are playing golf, granted in a very arcade-like fashion, but you meet these characters, you go through these stories, you level up, you do upgrades to yourself. It's really just so charming. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect game. Like, for example, I feel like sometimes the aiming can be a little clunky. Oh, it's phenomenal. Like, I honestly would say it's one of the best games on the Switch right now, and at the $15 US price point, it's definitely worth it. Now for number 4 on our list, I'm going to keep this one short because it's a game I've already talked about, and that is Sonic Mania. What's there to say about Sonic Mania? It pretty much looks and plays like how everyone wanted Sonic 4 to be. It's fantastic, in the running for my game of the year. It's made by Christian Whitehead and Stealth, I forget his real name. From the soundtrack to the gameplay to just the look and feel of everything in Sonic Mania is phenomenal. And if you haven't picked it up yet, absolutely do it. It's 20 bucks, making it the most expensive game on this list, but it is most certainly worth the price. Even if you don't like Sonic, like if you have never liked a Sonic game, I'll be honest, this might be the game that wins you over. Now, number 3 on our list is a game that isn't here because it's the absolute best, but because it's the best value. I think it's $5, like $4 or $5. It's dirt cheap, but it's a lot of fun. I feel like you really and truly get a lot for that $5, and that is Kamiko. And Kamiko, it plays kind of like Zelda, except instead of an open world, you have 5 stages. Now, yes, only 5 stages. When after your first run, which will take probably only a few hours, you'll probably get it so you can beat it in, what, under an hour in no time? But having 3 playable characters, I feel like really opens it up. And this game is really centered around replayability, you know, see how fast you can beat it. Very arcadey. Once again, it has kind of that 8/16-bit mesh that's so common in indie games, but it really is a lot of fun. It plays well, it looks good. I feel like some of the bosses are a little bullshit at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. I can absolutely, for the price, recommend Kamiko. So Kamiko, number 3 on the list, best value. Number 2 on our list is something that I've put that some of you are going to be like, why is that game here? And the reason I have it here is for 2 reasons. I wanted to do something a bit more modern looking, but furthermore, I wanted to go off into a genre I hadn't talked about yet, and that is the Kart Racer. Now imagine this. You buy a Switch, but you already own a Wii U and Mario Kart 8, and you don't want to fork over the 60 bucks American / 80 bucks Canadian for a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So what do you do if you still want a fun multiplayer racing experience on the Nintendo Switch? Well, that's where we get Beach Buggy Racing. Now, I can already hear a lot of you just, you know, from looking at this game, clicking away and going to hit that dislike button. But stop, hear me out in this. Now this game is a port of a mobile game, except since you actually have to pay like 10 bucks for it here, there's no microtransactions. Instead, what you have is a kart racer where you choose a character and a variety of karts. Instead of having a set list of race, you actually get a bunch of missions that you can complete in the tracks. And in the process, you can then actually upgrade your kart to make it faster and whatnot. Now, there's also a multiplayer mode, which is a lot of fun. This is a game I've probably sunk a lot of time into. This, for a good 3 weeks, this was the game I played on the bus every day to work until, you know, Pokemon Silver on 3DS Virtual Console came out anyways. I do have a few gripes with it. First things first, at one point your cart just maxes out and you can't upgrade it anymore. But at that point, there are still more races to complete. And it really just makes the last few sets of missions feel really like a load of bull. But besides that, everything up to that point's a lot of fun. The multiplayer is a lot of fun, and just, it controls really well. It's a little different than your average Mario Kart, but for 10 bucks, I can most certainly recommend it. Now, before we get to number 1 on our list, I'd like to give a quick honorable mention. That is to Blaster Master Zero, a great platformer that really takes you back to those NES days. A great sequel to a game that I feel like a lot of people have played, but not a lot of people have talked about. And that's not number 1 is because, as I said, I've tried to keep side-scrolling platformers down this list, and there is one in the eShop that I feel is better. And it's funny because it's a game highly inspired by a game that just absolutely disappointed me on every level. Of course, the game in question is Mighty Gunvolt Burst. Now, this game combines elements from 2 games, Mighty Number 9 and Azure Striker Gunvolt. I loved Gunvolt, and actually this is technically a sequel to a game called Mighty Gunvolt, which you got for free for backing Mighty Number 9. Now, quick thoughts on Mighty Number 9. I think it's terrible. I got the Wii U version, it sucked. Played the PS4 version, didn't suck as much, but was still pretty bad. So imagine my surprise when Mighty Gunvolt Burst comes out, and it's honestly the Mega Man game I've wanted since Mega Man 10 came out. Except calling it a Mega Man game is doing it a disservice. Yes, it's an 8-bit side-scrolling platformer. They even do like these little borders so you have a 4:3 aspect ratio. And yes, much like in the Mega Man games, you have 8 robot masters you have to go and take down. But what sets this apart? And that's the weapons. Now, normally in a Mega Man game, when you beat a boss, you gain their weapon. But it's not like that here. Instead, you have 32 weapon slots. And then you get a certain number of points. Now, with these points, you can then actually invest them into making your own weapons. And you get more upgrade options for every boss you beat. So essentially what you have is a Mega Man game where you create your own weapons. And they can be different styles, you can adjust everything. By the end of the game, you're this overpowered beast. But this game is no slouch, and I should really mention that. Now, the stages I didn't think were too bad as far as difficulty went. Yes, there are some difficult sections, but the real difficulty here was the bosses. I feel like every single playthrough of this game will be a bit different. Honestly, the game I wished Mighty Number 9 was. It does more than I'd expect even a Mega Man 11 to do, and really and truly, for I think it's 12 bucks, you're doing yourself a disservice by not buying Mighty Gunvolt Burst. But you know what? That's just my opinion. Why don't you leave your opinions on the best and worst Nintendo eShop titles down in the comment section below. I know some of you are probably going to bring up things such as Meme Run or whatever. But you know what? While you're at it, why don't you subscribe to Stuff We Play for more great content like this. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Stay classy, and I'll see you next time.